welcome to today's episode. It is about fear. As I already mentioned, before we can come to the main event, which is supposed to be the magnetic polar reversal, there are many things that are going to be happening in front of your eyes. To be prepared to survive this whole thing, there are certain stages. And in those stages, one of the biggest issue is fear. I'm going to talk about the fear in this episode a little bit. It is just touching on the basics, just explaining a few elements. It's not going to be a video where it's addressing everything in details. Messages and informations in media starts popping up like this. This is only one of the examples where some channels are presenting how the vaccines are causing heart attacks. You see, doctors are trained, not educated. If they were educated, they would understand that human body is all about electricity, not just plumbing and wires. Blaming heart attacks on the effects of vaccines and or anything to do with that COVID situation is just complete ignorance. The heart attacks are caused by decreasing strength of the magnetic field of the Earth. It also causing by increase of electric static on the ground level. Activity of the sun can cause also other problems. They can cause inflammation of the heart, they can cause inflammation of the joints, intestines. There is a multitude of problems that are caused by whatever sun is doing. Any solar flare, when we have no protection against the cosmic rays, can cause such problems, and blaming that on the vaccines is just plain dumb. But anyway, you know my opinion. I don't take vaccines. I don't really see how they could work for me, but that's personal choice. I cannot advise either way because you need to decide what and how. However, just make sure you understand that whatever is happening is the causes of the heart attacks, which are going to go up drastically, is the solar activity and lack of protection against the cosmic rays. Things don't end there. The fear mongering is going here. He's a guy who is very popular, and people believe whatever he says. Be rich, be rich. You remember the book, Poor Dad, Rich Dad? He, in his opinion, he's not a bad guy. I am not trying to say that he is a bad guy. Simply, the message that he's sending to people, keep them poor. The question is who? Is the corporate system trying to make people poor? The government trying to make people poor? The secret society are trying to make people poor? Who is exactly trying to make people poor? So let's take a look at all of them. The corporate don't want poor people because you cannot make money out of poor people. That's given. The government, the same way. The government prefers that we have a decent middle class where people are contributing to the spending of the government, because when the government has no money, then there is no reason to have a government. So those two options are out of the window. Now, there is one more group, which is the secret society and secret government behind the back. Now, what would they accomplish having poor people? Same story. Does not make any sense. So much like the movie Secret, The same thing here. The movie Secret is telling people that, well, there is a secret that the government is trying to keep away from you. If it was a secret, so how come the movie Secret? Where is that secret coming from? Who found it? So that does not make any sense. Keep them poor does not make any sense either. But it's very appealing to people, and people will fall for the idea that they should own properties, they should invest a lot of money in stuff, and somebody else is going to pay for that, because what Robert is asking people to do is use other people's money as a down payment and then ask other people to pay for the property. The tenants, they pay the whole thing. He's a billionaire because he has people contributing to him, and that's why, he's so rich. You should acknowledge that it's the contributors that make the rich people rich. But that's subject for some other time. What I am trying to communicate to you, that it doesn't matter if it's about the vaccine or it is about the money handling or everything. It's about spreading fear that you are poor because you don't know how to apply yourself, or because you are too dumb, you should educate yourself, which is not true at all. You are a very educated person. What it's lacking here, people need to train themselves to make more money. Right now it does not make any sense to make more money because money has no value anymore at all. So having more useless pieces of paper doesn't make any sense. Our society, our public at large, is convinced that there is a group of men that is trying to have control over everything. You can see from the example of the doctor that he's not quite correct, and yet many outlets are picking up on that message, on that news, and they are improving and spreading that further. I am going to play you a short clip from Nolan that runs the YouTube channel Inspired. I not necessarily agree with him on everything he's saying, but he is right on the money when he presents something to you. So let's watch the clip, and then I am going to talk a little bit more.
And right now we are seeing extreme psychological warfare in many countries around the world. It varies in intensity, it varies in its expression, but it's psychological warfare from basically all countries, governments towards their people. This is what's happening. We are never going to return to the old normal that we all knew just a few years ago. But we have a great, amazing, unique potential. The same powers that are now bringing down this system are the powers who have been keeping it alive for so long, whether that's the monetary system, economic system, whether that's the education system, whether that's the political system, whether that's the food supply chain, all those things, right? The same powers that used to run this system are now wanting to bring it down because they want to bring the final solution, a complete artificial, virtual reality intelligence system. And so they are pulling the plug on their own old systems because you are depending on those old systems. And because they are pulling the plug, these systems are never going to be what they were. That is over. And so we need to acknowledge that.
As you have heard from Nolan, from that short clip that I played to you, yes, it is the collapse of the whole system is initiated by the rich people. Not only them, but it's also initiated by people from the secret societies, because they already figure out that continuation of what was working for only few is not working for everyone, and what happened is that the system that they were on top of that system is collapsing, and it's not worth it to be there. It's time to bring this whole thing down. But within that fabric, there are psychopaths which very easily can exploit the situation, the fear-mongering, the misinformation, and capitalize on that. They can seize a large amount of land and other resources and keep them for themselves. That was the reason why the Agenda 21 was created, to prevent that from happening. Somehow, the corporate world, once they notice that their possibility of having control over land is disappearing, that's why they start spreading rumors. They paid big bucks to many people to just spread propaganda, how much they want to control. Like, they never exactly said who they are. They are using that ever since. One of the guys that is spreading rumors is Alex Jones. You remember that the Bohemian Grove, where he seemingly is recording stuff with hidden camera. He's lying, because two things need to happen to go there. You need to be either invited or have be member of that. So right there, he is just a con artist. But the Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030, it's about protecting the land and environment so we don't starve. Because if we don't take care of that, the people with big pockets, they can go over that and take them for themselves. Another fear-mongering is about the Georgia Guidestones. A few smart people erected this to give our society, our public, something to think about it. And very quickly, same people from corporate system, from corporate world, psychopaths, they invested a huge amount of money to not only spread rumors, misinformation, propaganda, but they also desecrated this place. I don't know if that was actual sacrifice on top of that top slab, or this is just faked. The folks that erected this and asked and designed this whole thing, they don't get engaged in any undoing of that. It's a very smart move, because people need to see for themselves how much is that true, how much is that correct. The key line in this bringing so much fear to this world is the 500 million people. It is a suggestion. No one is saying that we should decrease the number, because there is no line saying that. It's just saying we should keep at the level of 500 million people. Very quickly someone picked on that and turned this into a freak show. But good luck to those people anyway, because the truth eventually is going to come up. The people that are blamed for this, they are not necessarily part of the Illuminatis. Some members, they might, but that's not who designed this. That's not who is behind this. But this is something that you need to find out on your own. And here, finally, the fear-mongering about this is reaching a new levels. And you can see on this image, you see the pyramid, and there is the seeing eye on the top. This is the apex, which is detached from the pyramid. The pyramid, this is the structure of our society, of our public in general, where they are part of organizations, where they are part of corporate world, where they are part of families, and as such, they are part of that pyramid. The top section of the pyramid most likely is the government, which is overseeing this whole thing. The government's job is to coordinate, not to be in position of dictatorship. Now, the apex is something that is only designed to overlook, give suggestion, counseling, not to interfere with any laws or whatever the public desires. They are only trying to pinpoint and send warnings if something is reaching a point where there are problems brewing. The folks over there, believe me, they are very smart people, very intelligent beings. They are not being chosen there because they have money. They are not being chosen there because they can be vicious, violent, and or psychotic. None of that. These are really very intelligent people, but not many understand that. Of course, you as a viewer, you have a choice. You can just blindly believe like David or Alex Jones and many others. I'm really disappointed in Jesse Ventura, that someone who has clearance and he was in the government is saying things about that institution like the whole institution is corrupted. There is a lot of corruption in it, but there are still a lot of good people in there that make sure that when we wake up, we still can wake up into the free world, not being overrun by lunatics. But somehow that part is missing. There is a lot of people. There are more good people working within the government. There are a lot of more good people working in every department than we have psychopaths. But somehow everybody sees only the psychopaths. If you believe that they are trying to take control over everything, then you are so incorrect for a few reasons. One of them is having control over someone requires a lot of work, paying attention. This is very laborious undertaking, and no one wants that. The only way that psychopaths are having control over you is through fear. When they spread rumors and they know that people are going to be freaking out, smart people do not want to have control over either population, countries, or anything else, because that requires a lot of work. That requires a lot of energy. That requires to be constantly paying attention what is happening. However, there are psychopaths that are planting misinformation, and they know that through that misinformation, people will control themselves. The best example you have is the COVID situation. No one, I mean absolutely no one, is controlling that except you, except people that are in position where they think that they need to impose restrictions, where they need to impose rules. And you can see that because every country is handling this differently, every region is handling this differently, every state is, every city, everyone is handling the situation differently. The information now is getting even more and more bizarre. That's already presented to you. And the fear-mongering is not going to go down. As I mentioned already before, the polar reversal is not about just the ice age and flipping of the poles. It is to provide the energy for you, for your desire. Whatever you think will happen, that is exactly what will happen. And this is the moment right now, after year 2012, where if you think you are being controlled, that's where that energy is being pulled into. So if you think you have no say, then you are giving away your voice. If you think you are being controlled, you are being submissive. If you think that they are going to steal from you, then you are giving away whatever you have. That's how it is. I cannot stress that out enough to you, that whatever you are saying, whatever you are thinking, that's what is going to materialize. So it is better to be in a group of people which are looking forward to the future with different and new conditions, where there is no exploitation of individual, but rather support of the group, support for the group, support for the individual, where you contribute to it. So now let's bring this whole thing together. There is going to be a change. The change is coming already. You can see that. The normal, that whatever we accepted as normal, is gone. That is never coming back. But this is a field or opportunity where people that are thriving in the negative environment, the energy, they need that. They are going to be exploiting that. And they always are very clever, pointing fingers on somebody else, telling public, saying, okay, they are the fault, they are the fault, they are the fault, which is not necessarily correct. The only way to know that, it is required on each individual to seek and investigate on it on their own. We cannot, as a group, fall into this belief that whatever alternative media is bringing to us is correct, or mainstream media is bringing us is correct. We need to be better organized, and this is my message to you. As I mentioned almost in every video, if you are not going to go and be part of any organizations and or forming some groups, like-minded people, where they can focus on providing safety and food for themselves, you do not have much chance to be afloat. It is going to be given to you what's left, if any. You are going to be left on your own, because the way they are progressing, the way the things are progressing right now, there is not going to be much cooperation, because the left ones what the left ones, right ones what the right ones, and there is the progressive whatever they wanted. This is going on everywhere, in every corner of the world. That each group wants something different and is unwilling to work with the other one. That's a disaster. So if you can just form something like a lodge, let's say wingless eagle lodge, or Canadians, they can make a drunken beaver, anything. It doesn't matter what the name is, because the legal entity that you can form right now is still there. But it's approaching time where, in this chaos, in this mess, the government agencies won't be able to help you with that. And then you will be on your own. And then there is going to be a question of the legality of whatever you are trying to do. So use the time wisely. I was already presented with the date 2022. That is very important, not only for me to finish the work, to complete the books, to complete the channel, and then because as the midterm election in states is going to progress, there is going to be more and more mess. With that, some things won't be able to get to you. In other words, many things that I can say right now, I won't be able to do it sometimes in the future. So you already understand that whatever is presented to you through media, it doesn't matter if they are alternative media or mainstream media, not everything is correct. And this is done on purpose, because it is after the individual. Every one of us need to decided, needs to reevaluate the message, the information coming our way. We, each one of us, need to take steps. We, each one of us, need to be involved. Without that, nothing is going to happen. If each one of us is going to just sit back and watch as the whole thing is unfolding in front of us, eventually the people, the psychopaths that are waiting for moments like that, they will seize the moment and they will establish themselves as dictators, and then it's going to be much harder to unwind this whole thing, undo the damage. So it's better to take preventive steps right now, not going to fight with anybody, but rather to focus on what we can do right now as individuals to have some form of cooperation with others, what it is that we can do with what we already have, how this can play for us. All right, so thank you for being with me today. If you like this type of material, please do subscribe to this channel. Please check the notification bell, and of course, give me a thumb up. I will be focused on this subject to the end of the year. However, in the new year, I am going to change a little bit. I may not cover everything, but I will try to cover as much as possible about the Ice Age. And I know that you are waiting for the big, how it is going to happen, where to go. You already know the basic idea how this might unfold, but still you are trying to see, have a second opinion, if you will. You will get it, but not yet. There are steps that need to be taken first. One of them is conquer the fear. Thank you.